And then can we jump to the next slide? So this is an overview, or actually, can we go to the next slide after this one, Estee? I'm sorry. Awesome. So here is an agenda for the hour. We'll start with introductions from our grants team members. So you can put names with faces. And then for all other attendees, if you could, while the grants team is making our introductions, just start dropping your name and organization or affiliation in the chat, so we know who you are and you know who your fellow recipients are. So again, with staff introductions, my name is Taylor and I am the Director of Grants. I've been here for 3.5 months now. So a lot of your faces are new to me, but I'm really excited to get to know more about your projects as you start off this grant term. And Estee, would you want to introduce yourself next?
For sure. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Estee, and I'm the current grants coordinator.
I'm Andrea Torres, and I'm one of the grants assistants. Congratulations to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Mo Munley, and I'm one of the grants assistants here. So wanted to wish you all congratulations on your award. That's awesome.
Thank you all. And this is great. I see you all starting to introduce yourselves in the chat.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but my producer, I'm on a team with Anna Tran, who was awarded the grant, and she says she's in a waiting room and she needs to get invited in.
Let's see.
Just want to make sure
that she's in. Yes. Okay.
Do you see her?
Should be joining. They should be in. Yes, so at any point, feel free to stop me. So I'll be honest in saying that I have a script to sort of help orient myself as I communicate all the important pieces of the grant agreement that you all need to know. But with that, I can't see you all on the screen. So if you need me at any point, I have it pulled up on another screen as well, but feel free to unmute yourself to stop me if something comes up and I miss it. Okay. Great. So we're going to get started with the orientation. I want to say we will reserve some time dedicated for Q&A towards the end of this session. So if we could hold our questions until then, that would be amazing. I also want to start off by reiterating the uniqueness of this grant year, which was in response to the pandemic. So as you will recall, Estee, if we could go to the next slide. The 2021 grant cycle was the culmination of research and community-informed changes that addressed the challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The objectives for these changes was to fairly respond to the drastic reduction of the city's tax income, which reduced 2020 grantees' grants amounts, as well as provide some grant competitions to those not receiving the extended contracts at that time. So there were a few solutions that came out of that with some key actions. The first was to introduce more predictability and stability to grants funding. So specifically with support for support for artists and creative individuals, this will be funded with cash in hand instead of projections. And while transitioning towards that cash in hand awarding, there were 2 grant cycles with 6-month grant terms that were created. This is the second grant cycle with the 6-month grant term. This will also be the last cycle with the 6-month grant term. So after this one, we will be returning back to just 1 grant term per year that's a year long. So I don't know if you all have seen, but today we're launching the 2023 application for SACI, and that will open. That's for grant activity starting January 1, ending December 2023. I won't confuse you too much with those details, but I just want to make it clear that this will be the last 6-month grant term related to a SACI grant. Okay. 106 applicants applied to the program with a total of $1,543,713 in requests for city funding. During a cycle in which we had $268,700 of funding available. Of the 106 applications, 97 of those applications met eligibility requirements outlined in the published guidelines for the competition. The application launched March 1st and closed March 31st, and with assistance from HAA staff available throughout the 30-day open period. 24 arts expert panelists vetted by a committee of the HAA board read and scored these applications. Panelists represent various arts expertise, lived experience, professional backgrounds, and self-identities. Based upon the available funding that we had and relative merit scores, that were scored by the panelists, the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs is funding 18 of the 97 eligible applicants, which were about 19% of the applicant pool. And as I mentioned before, the next grant cycle for the calendar year 2023 funding opened today and will close July 29th. But now we'll move into contract specific information relative to this presentation. So here you all are, you have been awarded. You have been notified of those awards, and now it's time for us to kind of go over what to expect in the contract agreement. So here's some details we'll be addressing over the course of this conversation moving forward. The first is the grant term, which of course is 6 months and covers projects taking place from July 1, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. So that is the length of the grant term. We'll also cover some important details related to the final report, that being work samples, marketing materials, the financial report, and the cultural events calendar submission, and crediting support lines and logos. It's really important for us to go over that in detail, because if any of those 4 are missing, it can affect your funding and future eligibility. So we want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with what our expectations are as it relates to that final report. And you can be on the lookout for these contracts to come to you. Because this is a holiday weekend and we have Monday off, you can expect those contracts on Tuesday, July 5th. So let's talk a little bit about the public presentation requirement. So a public presentation of the work that you applied for is required. Whether in person or virtually, the main requirement is that the event is open to the general public, meaning everyone who may become aware of your event has an opportunity to attend, even if it is ticketed. Additionally, if you are to have an in-person engagement, all events should follow the CDC public health guidelines. All events must also be placed on the cultural events calendar. Again, that is a requirement of the grant agreement. So we want to take some time to review that in the next few slides. So the cultural events calendar submission page is located at submit.haatx.com. So before your event, and I want to emphasize the earlier the better. So please give yourself some time to submit your event to the calendar in advance. You should go to that submit.haatx.com page and click on the submit an event button. Once you click that button, that submit an event button, it will direct you to this login page. If you do not already have an account, go ahead and register to create an account. And once you're logged in, you're ready to submit your event, and it will direct you to our landing page. So after you've logged in and you're redirected to this page, the first thing you want to do, which will make your setup easier, is click either organization or venue in the menu on the left. You will add information related to your artist or organization profile, including the name, description, and other relevant details here. So for individual artists, you can provide a quick bio as the organization page. Will link all of your events together on one page. So this will, all of the events associated with your account will be linked through this sort of like organization page. Once that's complete, select the venue from the menu and add the relevant details. This step honestly makes the most sense for someone who might have a brick and mortar space that is also used for presentation of your work. Now let's go to the actual like how to submit an actual event steps. So from the menu, you're going to select dashboard, which will bring you back home. And once you get back to the home page, you want to select create new event. Here you will enter the event details. So that will include the title of the event, a short blurb, think like 2 to 3 sentences max, and then a longer description which appears in the body of the event posting. You can also scroll down to enter more details. Here on this page, you can either select from an existing venue in the presenting organization business section or add a new one. This kind of circles back to that first step that I was laying out before, whereas if you've entered that information previously, you can then just select from that drop-down menu and find your organization. You can also manually enter the information, which makes sense for those who may just be temporarily renting out a space. Next, you'll be prompted to enter the dates and times of the events. This can be a little tricky, so try to enter the information in this order. First, select the days of the week and click Save Dates. Then you can go and select the start and end day dates. And then after you select those, you'll click Save Dates again. You cannot submit your event if the start and end times are not selected for each day of your event. You can either select the days via the calendar and add each time per day if they will vary, or if it will be the same time for each day, you can select apply time to all dates in the top right-hand corner. The next section allows you to include any additional details you think are important to potential audiences. We also encourage you to include accessibility information for differently abled audiences, so they may find events they may attend. Just a few more slides related to the calendar. So everyone attending this orientation should select yes to this prompt. This lets us at HAA, the grant staff, know to consider your event for promotion on any of our social media channels. So please make sure to hit yes on that prompt. Next, you'll add an image, which is required for the event to be published. There are details on image requirements detailed in this slide, and you must check the copyright acknowledgement. So make sure to check that before uploading. Next, you may preview the event, and if you've completed your profile, the contact information from that page will auto-populate. You can use the preview feature to double check all of the information you've entered. Once you are done, click Submit Listing. You can access the event to edit, copy, or delete it from the events option on the menu on the left side. And if you toggle the account option, you will see like My List bookmarks. This will allow you to share links to the event once the event has been published. Finally, once you submit, it takes us 2 to 3 days to review and publish the event online. So again, I want to say, please, please, please post early. And once published, copy the HTML link to your event and go to the marketing section of your final report in our grants portal and copy that link into the calendar event link section right away. And then you can just click and save draft. Links are harder to find after your event has expired, but are required with the submission of your final report. So it's best to just do that step of copying that link and putting it in your final report sooner rather than later. And here are 5 different places where you can find your calendar link. So it will be emailed to you once you submit it via the calendar. You can also search it in Google. You can search the full HTML link just in your web browser search bar. You can also log into the actual like submit.haatx.com page and go to your profile and find the link there. Or you can reach out to us via the help desk and we can try to help find your event on the back end. Here is a quick preview of where you're going to upload the link in the grants portal on that final reporting page. And while we're on the topic of final reports, let's just go ahead and transition into talking about final reports in its entirety. Okay, so let's talk about the grants portal. It's located at haa.smartsimple.com. Once you log in, you will be greeted by the application dashboard, which has several widgets to help you manage your grant. You may scroll down the page to find items such as funding opportunities, which is a list of currently open grants. There'll be an application summary section, which has a list of applications you started or submitted. There's a payment summary section where you can view your payment disbursements. Another way to view those payments is if you have been awarded, select that award grant from your application summary section, and then you can see corresponding payments by selecting the payments in the menu on the left. You can also select an individual payment and see additional details. But getting back to talking specifically about final reports, you can access your final report in 3 places. The first is by clicking reports due on the landing page, which is circled. The second is by scrolling down the landing page to reports summary and clicking that. And then the final is by scrolling to the application summary and clicking open next to your approved grant. That will also take you to the final report page. Now the final report. So it consists of 4 sections. The first is a narrative section, and that's basically where you'll explain what you've learned over the course of the grant term. The second is marketing. That's so that you demonstrate compliance with the terms of your contract. The financial report section is where you will account for how you used the grant funds you were awarded. And then there's a submission confirmation step that is just assurances that the information you provided is accurate. So let's break down those sections one at a time. We'll start with the narrative section. So there will be 4 questions. For the project summary, that should mirror what you originally proposed. Changes to the scope of work proposed are not permitted because the idea and information you provided is what was adjudicated, scored, reviewed, and approved. Nonetheless, we understand that external factors may impact your ability to complete your work. So the best action, and I can't emphasize this enough, is to make sure that you contact the grant staff if there is anything impeding you from being able to do the work. Minor changes can be made, such as like the date of the event, the venue, timing, duration, etc. But it would probably just be best for you to schedule a grantee meeting with the staff so that we can go over these changes with you and make sure that you are still in compliance. So please, please, please reach out to us about any changes that might need to be made. Here you will provide a few documents and links, right, as it relates to this marketing section. You'll need to include marketing materials that have that required credit line. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. You'll also need to provide work samples such as photos, videos, and other items from the actual event. I also want to emphasize this part of the actual documents that you need to provide, because it is imperative that those documents let us know that the event actually took place. So anything you can provide that is proof that the event took place, again, that could be photos from the event, videos from the event, anything, that's going to be really important. And then again, you'll need to post the link from your cultural events calendar submission on this section as well. The credit line for the marketing materials should include this insert project, event, etc. was funded in part by the City of Houston through the Arts Alliance. Or the logos. So logos can be accessed through the HoustonArtsAlliance.com/logos page. And if we go to the next page, you'll see a correct usage of the logos on the left-hand side, and incorrect usage of the logos on the right-hand side. So please make sure that you are using the logos correctly so that you are still in compliance with the logo requirements. With the work samples should consist of at least 2 high-resolution images that can be used by HAA or the City of Houston for our work in advocacy and promotion of the sector. And with a financial report, you'll want to click that button that says Edit Report for the table to pop out into a new window. Here's an example of a financial report. The total summary or the total amount should meet or exceed your total grant amount. So all funds should be expended in the grant term, and must be accounted for in your final report. The final payment really operates as a reimbursement. So we need to see how you spent those funds. So the amount should match up with what your award amount was. Or is. Both this presentation, your contract, and the grant guidelines list items that are not allowable to be paid for by this grant. Please, please, please refer to either of those documents when completing your final report so that you are making sure that whatever you're requesting or whatever you're laying out in that budget falls within the guidelines of what these funds can cover. These are specific expenses that are not permitted: travel outside of the city of Houston, deficits, loans, interest on loans, fines, penalties, or cost of litigation, training, including but not limited to classes, conferences, or workshops, the purchase of equipment exceeding $250, except rental costs directly affiliated with the funded project, capital expenses, and meals, refreshments, and catering expenses. So we cannot cover any food. On this submission confirmation page, these are assurances stating that you have complied with your grant contract. So I'll read the list. All items fall within the grant term as detailed in our contract. Items correspond with the scope of services as detailed in our contract. All items reported are subjected to an audit by HAA for up to 3 years from the date submitted. All items fall within hot compliance as detailed in our contract and listed below. I verify that all the information in this final report is true and accurate and signed off by CEO and CFO or equivalent positions. So after clicking submit, once you have all of the sections complete, you will submit it, of course, and will receive a submission confirmation. HAA grant staff has 30 days to review and approve the report. If there is any incorrect or missing information, we will email you requesting revisions. Once approved, right? So like in the instance that you're good to go right away, or we request revisions and you get those revisions to us and you're approved, payments are issued in 2 to 3 weeks. You can always click application dashboard in the top right-hand corner at any point to return to the landing page. Please be sure to click save draft though, so all of your work is saved before you exit out. With payments, so scrolling down the landing page to the payment summary section will show you a quick look at your payment amounts and payment dates. If you've opened a grant from the application summary section on the landing page, you can see your payments by clicking the payments tab on the left-hand side of the screen. Clicking on payment will show you more details. This is what the payment details pane will look like. You can see which payment it is, the payment amount, the scheduled payment date, and any relevant adjustments. Adjusted payment amounts will only apply to support for organization grantees in the future, as other grants will be paid from funds that are cash in hand. So one of those being SACI. Once you sign your contract, the grants department sends your first payment to our finance department for processing. Processing takes about 2 weeks for disbursement into your account on file. So that first payment is 80% of the grant award. And then after your final report is approved, you'll receive the remaining 20% in that final payment. The timeline will differ if the final report is submitted before the deadline. That is all of the pertinent information related to your contracts. So I will exit out of the script and come back to the Zoom room and see if there are any questions that you all might have. Checking the chat to see if there are any questions. Again, know that you are always encouraged, if questions are to pop up over the course of your grant term, to reach out to our support desk. How will grant funds affect our 2022 income taxes? I might need a little bit more info, like context for that question, Catherine.
Hi, I don't know if you can see me or hear me.
Yes. Hello.
So is it like 1099 income? Like, do you send us like a, yeah,
Yes, you will receive a 1099.
okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. That's really my question, just so what sort of category it falls into for our taxes, but that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Taylor, I had a quick question. When you said that the timeline may differ if final reports are sent earlier, so basically, like as soon as we sent the final report after our event is done, then how long does it normally take after final report to get the rest of the funds?
So once your final report is submitted, we have 30 days to review. And so long as there are no revisions requested over the course, after the final report is submitted, we'll approve it, and then 2 to 3 weeks, the payment will follow.
Great, thank you.
Of course. There's another question. What is the last date for completing the project? So the grant term ends December 31st, 2022. And after that date, you have 30 days to submit your final report.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. How's it going, Jesus?
Hi, thank you for presenting this event. So just to be clear, December 31st of this year is the last date for completing the project.
Yes, correct. That is the
Yes.
end of the grant term.
Okay. Okay, got it. All right. It's kind of short, but we'll go forward.
Yes. So for this round of 2022 SACI applications, these grant terms are 6 months. But again, this is the last year that we're doing this sort of 6-month grant term. These were accommodations that we made during COVID after getting some community input. But we will be shifting back to our annual structure for this 2023 cycle that's coming up.
And the earliest date to start is officially what date?
It's today,
Excellent.
July 1st. Yes.
Got it. All right. That's all that I have. Welcome, everyone.
Taylor, I did have one more question.
Yeah.
for the like breakdown of like when we sent our budget, as long as we stay within the same 15,000 or whatever amount was approved, are we allowed to kind of like, is it okay if some things change? Maybe some things cost less than we thought and we could use those expenses somewhere else?
I'm sorry, Joel, you cut out for 2 seconds. Can you repeat the end of that question again?
Yeah, just in the way that we use the funds. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just in the way that we use our funds, is it okay if it might alter from our original budget as long as we stay within the same amount that were approved?
I want to say yes, but if that happens, I would suggest that you reach out to the grants team to talk about any changes that might be happening, just so we can make sure that we're all on the same page. And we don't run into any issues when we, receive the final report and we start reviewing it.
Okay.
So I would just schedule a grantee call to talk about any specific changes related to the budget.
And are we gonna get some like contact information so we can, or besides, is this the main phone number that we would contact, the one on the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
You can contact us by this number on the screen. You can also reach out to us via our support desk.
Okay.
And we'll make sure to include all of this information in that contract as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Sure. One more question. If I need to download the application that I submitted for this funding, do I go to Smart Simple?
Yes. Estee, would you be able to talk them through exactly how they could find that in Smart Simple?
Yeah, I believe there's an option in Smart Simple. I can pull it up now just so I can give you the correct options to select. Let's see. I'm not seeing an option emulated for users to download it.
Jesus, let us do some research and reach back out to you with some steps on how to get that or see that application.
Never mind.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I
I
found it.
found it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I found it at the very end. So